the last 13 years, Mike Heidingsfield has served the UT system as Director of Police, and he will retire on March 31, 2024 as our longest serving police director in history, carrying out this critical role with an unwavering focus and emphasis on building positive relations and a powerful ability to innovate and adapt. Diligence defines his work. For evidence of that, look no farther than the incident reports that he transmits to UT system executives by email after system police responses, often multiple times a day. No detail is too small. Mike's passion for his work is inspiring. While he may not realize it, others are deeply moved by his heartfelt dedication to keeping our campus communities safe. His commitment to safety shines through in both his actions and his words, underscoring the importance he places on excellent policing. Each year we host a deep dive for members of the Chancellor's Council Executive Committee so that new members can get a sort of comprehensive primer about the University of Texas system. It's popular. 50 or 60 new members of the Chancellor's Council come. And I change presenters frequently so that they can get, partly so we don't get bored, I guess, but so they can get a different picture of the university system. But the only person that is a constant is Mike. And that's because what he has to say to UT parents and grandparents is among the most important things that any of them ever want to hear from us. Without fail, he delivers from the heart, never with a note or an outline, compelling comments about the security and safety of students. And he always gets a standing ovation from the parents and grandparents in that audience. I've never gotten a standing ovation. I'm a little bit upset about this. His passion and unwavering commitment resonate deeply with the attendees, as they do with everyone he speaks to about the mission of the UT System Police, leaving a lasting impression on all who hear him. He's serious about his work, his standards are high, and those standards permeate throughout the entire police force. He's a creature of habit, providing details and sticking to them, even when he eats lunch. Angie's Mexican restaurant on East 7th Street is his favorite, and he's a bit of a legend there. In fact, it's rumored that Mike has named one of his children after the restaurant. Although we did some research on this and we learned that she was born before the restaurant existed, but it's still a really good story. Angie's is about, for many of you who know, about 1.5 miles from here. It's on our same street. It doesn't even require a turn. But no matter how short the distance, there's one rule that his ODOM colleagues have when they have their regular lunches with him. Mike is never allowed to drive, unless you want to end up in a different place. Also, a part of his consistent habits, Mike confidently orders the same special every time without looking at the menu. And once it's time to pay the bill, he consistently forgets his wallet. It's one of the things I like best about him as a law enforcement leader. He's smart, he's strategic, and he's tactical. Mike, you've done so many amazing things throughout your career. Many of your colleagues here today may not be aware that you hold the lowest badge number among all active UT System Police, dating back to your first tour of duty beginning in 1973. You went on to serve the nation and communities across it in the Air Force as a police executive, leading police operations for the U.S. Senate, sharing your expertise with military agencies around the world, including in Iraq and in Guantanamo Bay. We were incredibly fortunate to have you return to the UT system in April 2011 as Director of Police, a role that is foundational to our success in serving Texas. The ability of our students, our faculty, our staff, our patients to learn, discover, and heal in a welcoming and safe environment is the starting point for everything we do throughout the University of Texas system. Working with the institutional chiefs and a force of more than 1,500, you've helped ensure the safety of our classrooms, our residence halls, our laboratories, our medical facilities, our packed stadiums, and remote outposts spread across 68 counties. Now, Mike, I know you have a family here today, including your wife Kelly, and in a few minutes, we'll pass the microphone to you, and I hope you'll introduce your loved ones to the UT system family. Our loss will be their gain. You head to Florida and settle into a well-deserved civilian life with Kelly. But before that, we've got a couple of other pieces of business to take care of. First, I want to invite Bill Adcox, the Vice President and Chief for the University of Texas Police at Houston, to say a few words on behalf of the UT system police chiefs, and then he'll be joined by several ODOP colleagues who wish to make some presentations, and then I'll come back to the microphone before you're allowed to have any
Thank you, Chancellor, and thank everyone for coming today. I had the honor to be part of the selection committee when Mike came on board, and I got to tell you, there's over 200 applicants. It was a difficult thing, but it was not a difficult decision, and we were so happy that the Chancellor's office made the decision they did. Those of you that don't know Mike, he is soldier and police officer through and through. And what we didn't share with y'all is that he served a couple of tours in Iraq as a police chief, doing his part for his country, and unfortunately lost over 100 of his police officers there. And so he takes that deeply in his responsibilities as he goes on. He's also a retired full colonel from the United States Air Force Reserve. So you can tell he's been serving this great country, UT system, and everywhere else, his whole life and career at different areas. 50 plus years of service. Let me tell you, on behalf of the police chiefs, we could not have had a better leader, a better mentor, and a better friend. He is always there for us. He's always been supportive. He has developed a system that is second to none. He has brought all 14 of the components up. He has put together a training academy that's the very best in the state of Texas. He's made sure we are prepared for any incident that comes with the right attitude that's necessary to protect these students and patients and visitors. Mike, I speak for all the chiefs when we say there's not been a better person that we've all worked for. We talk about it often here recently because we do a retirement, and we all want to tell you, thank you for all you've done. You'll be sorely missed, but never forgotten. And with that, I hope it's a good thing, but for your beautiful wife, Kelly, we give Mike to you. I just want to close by saying that on behalf of all the chiefs, you want to just let everybody know you're here. Thank you, and thank you. And we wish you the very best.
Hi, I'm David Ferrero. Ruben Puente is our assistant director. He had a family emergency happen last night, so he can't be here. One of the things that Kenneth Baptiste, our academy commander, is going to help me with is presenting some awards to the director. And it's kind of a surreal moment to do that. I've been at ODOP the longest of the inspectors, and except for Lydia, the longest of the admin staff for them. And when the director came to ODOP, there was a lot of anticipation. I can remember one time I went to him and said, we need to talk about policies, and I said, police officers sometimes don't write the best policies. And he said he loves to write policies. And he does, and it's in a unique and a special and a blessed way that his writing and skills are just tremendous. And we've really enjoyed that over the years with each other. From the academy, we have a picture of a flag that stood over the academy. All the last cadets are saluting the flag, along with all 4 of the academy staff that we have out there. And then we've also put in one of the shadow boxes the flag that was being flown for that particular day. From the ODOT downtown folks is a shadow box that has your badge in it, has some of the patches that you've accrued over the years with it, and we had that frame, and I know that'll be a special part, along with some of the other regalia you have from some of the other stops that you've had along with your career. And most of y'all know that one of the most important things that happens with law enforcement is we get to present somebody their duty weapon. So the director has a Glock pistol, and I have a box here that goes with that pistol. So when you decide to check out, you don't need to turn it in. You need to keep that as a gift from us. Yeah, I can't speak enough for the praise, and thank you for being here for the last 13 years. We have a presentation from Assistant Special Agent Hudson with the FBI, and here he comes through the crowd.
Hey, thank you so much. We don't get invited to a lot of parties these days, so I appreciate the invitation. Again, my name is Jason Hudson. I'm an Assistant Special Agent in charge with the FBI, and in that capacity, I oversee all FBI operations here in Central Texas. I didn't have the opportunity to know Mike extremely well, but I can tell you, sir, that my team and I are certainly the beneficiaries of your phenomenal leadership and your phenomenal vision. I took some time last night to read your bio, which was humbling to say the least. And if I can accomplish a third of what you did in my career, I will definitely consider myself successful. The FBI, for those who may not know, we're an organization built on partnerships. And I think that's changed over the past couple of decades. We do nothing without strong partnerships. And I can tell you that our partnership with this university, with this system, and with the police department associated with this great system is second to none. And that's coming from a guy that went to school about 100 miles to the east of here. So that's hard for me to get out, but in this role and being in this city, we have a fantastic relationship. UT sets on our JTTS here and elsewhere, and actually that model that your folks have created, we've used to pilot other programs and forged other relationships based on that successful template with other university PDs, and it's been very, very successful. So on behalf of the FBI, I brought a certificate. It says the U.S. Department of Justice, Federal Bureau of Investigation is proud to recognize Director Michael J. Heidingsfield, University of Texas System Police, for your many years of distinguished service in law enforcement and your selfless efforts to protect and serve the American public. You've always recognized that a key to combating crime is unstinting cooperation among law enforcement agencies at all levels of government. The FBI and the American people have been the beneficiaries of your professionalism and dedication to duty, and we congratulate you on a remarkable career. Dated March 2024, signed Christopher A. Ray, Director of the FBI.
Okay, Mike. Sure. After 50 years of service in the military and law enforcement, spanning from corridors of power in Washington, D.C. to war zones in Baghdad to every corner of Texas that UT touches, you've earned the right to go home. Earlier, I mentioned Mike's diligence in keeping our executives up to speed with email reports on the police activity on a daily basis across all of our institutions. And almost always, those detailed reports close in a tidy fashion, noting that a suspect was detained or a situation was cleared without incident. We've all taken that to heart. It's become, it's how we know of Mike now. So I have, since I've been here, started a tradition of giving something called the Chancellor's Medal. There have been 2 of these awarded previously. The first to former Congressman Bill Archer, who's responsible for our tremendously successful program in Washington, D.C., Archer Scholars. The second went to the Dean of the Senate, Judith Thaffarini, for being responsible for her work to establish our presence in Laredo, which is making a huge difference. The third one says, for an extraordinary career without incident, presented to Michael J. Heidingsfield, Chancellor J.B. Milliken, March 21, 2024. We have another gift for you. It's one that reminds us of your meticulous nature in sharing an exceptionally detailed itinerary whenever you take time off from work to travel with Kelly, providing us with every small detail of your vacation, including flights, planned activities, hotel accommodations, sometimes even your dinner plans. This is an example, and I'm quoting an email to me. Chancellor, tomorrow morning my wife and I leave to fly to San Francisco, from where we will take the Amtrak California Zephyr long-haul sleeper to Chicago to see the fall foliage in the Rockies and the Sierra Nevada mountains as we pass through. We may dine in the diner car. Perhaps I will read a little. We will fly back from Chicago on 1023. Connectivity aboard Amtrak is intermittent at best and often non-existent, but I will maintain contact as I am able to do. And he did maintain contact. First of all, while this note was being sent, I hope Kelly was driving to the airport for obvious reasons. Second, knowing your love for travel and the adventures that retirement might hold, we are going to present you with this gift to accompany you and Kelly on the many destinations that lie ahead. The MJH bag.
Everybody's a comedian.
Finally, we have one more presentation. The UT System Police Academy provides exceptional training, as you've heard already today, not only for UT police officers, but also members of every other state, university, local law enforcement agencies as needed. Our basic police officer course consists of over 1,000 training hours, well above the Texas Commission on Law Enforcement's minimum requirement of 720 hours. Our pass rate is exceptionally high. Considering the program's intensity and its duration, cadets are required to leave their hometowns and families and relocate to Austin for roughly 6 months during their training. They live, train, eat here, which can incur significant costs. So understanding the strain that this might cause, at Mike's request, the UT system now awards scholarships annually to approximately 10 officers in training from remote locations to offset some of the costs. We can't think of anything better for those new cadets year after year to know about the mark that Mike Heidingsfield has left on the UT system and on law enforcement. So therefore today, we officially named these scholarships the Michael J. Heidingsfield Police Academy Scholarships. Mike, we are profoundly grateful to you for your leadership and your service, and we wish you many years of great travel and other enjoyment. We hope you have room for all these mementos. Put them in the bag. At this point, I'd like to invite you to come forward and share anything you like with this room full of people who love and respect you.
Thank you, Chancellor. You've been a terrific boss, great coach and mentor and ambassador for us. I'm eternally grateful. I want to recognize the family members that are here, if I might. So my wife, Kelly, is my rock and my shelter. My daughter, Angie. Her daughter, my granddaughter, Emily. 4 of my grandsons, Carson, Rylan, Colby, and Brendan. My son John is not able to be here. Emily's husband Matt is at home taking care of their 2 little girls, and yes, that means I am a great-grandfather. So I guess in the interest of full disclosure, I should tell you that when Emily first told me she was going to have a baby, my response was, oh shit. Because it aged me profoundly. And my oldest grandson, Tanner, who's an active duty member of the United States Air Force, is in Oklahoma City. I love my family. Wouldn't trade them for the world. Love you guys. I want to go off the script for just one moment. There's a longtime colleague and friend of mine who asked to say a couple of words to this group, and he's well known to many of you. Steve Dye. Where are you, Steve? So, Steve, first of all, you'll notice the profoundly, almost identical appearance that we both have. We're often mistaken for twins. You'll notice the svelte appearance, the handsome countenance. I mean, So Steve is the newly appointed Chief of Police in Allen, Texas. Prior to that, he was the city manager and Chief of Police in Grand Prairie, Texas, the Chief of Police in Colleyville, and started his police career at Houston PD, and he and I spent a number of years together at Arlington PD. I will tell you this, there's not a finer Chief of Police in the state of Texas, and I'm delighted to yield the podium to him for just a moment at his request. It means a great deal to me, Steve.
Well, thank you, Mike. I'm really here today to speak on behalf of all of our Arlington colleagues and really many of you in this room. So as an Arlington police officer, Mike was my patrol lieutenant, and then later as a SWAT officer, he was my special operations captain. You know, as they say, as a leader, it's not what you say, it's not what you do, but most importantly, Chancellor, you'll agree with this, it's how you make people feel. So this May I'll have 40 years in public service. The last 20 I've been, as Mike mentioned, chief or deputy city manager. But I want to tell you about how Mike made me feel 37 years ago, because I guarantee you my colleagues in this room have very similar stories. In October of 1987, unfortunately, I was in an officer-involved shooting with a robbery suspect. I was off for several days working under Chief Kunkel. My first day back, I answered a call where I caught another robbery suspect in a stolen car. Yes, this Steve Dyluck. And I almost had to shoot that gentleman. So as I was booking that prisoner into jail that night, Lieutenant Heidingsfield at the time walked by and asked me how I was doing. And I said, LT, I'm fine. He goes, come see me when you're done. After I'm done, I go up to his office and he said, Steve, what's wrong? I said, Lieutenant, I'm fine. He goes, what's wrong? And then I explained to him that, Lieutenant, I'm a little concerned because in the last week I've almost had to shoot 2 people. He immediately cared for me, made sure that I was whole and healthy. And I think what that demonstrated to me almost 37 years ago is you really do never really forget how a great leader makes you feel. You see, 2 of Mike's greatest qualities, it's not just his attention to detail, his work ethic, his acumen. 2 of his greatest qualities that I think we would all agree on, those of us that know him, is he really knows his people and he really cares for his people. So Mike, I want you to know that over the last 20 years, many of my leadership qualities that have shaped me as a leader are directly attributable to you. But your legacy doesn't end with me and the people in this room. Your legacy will carry on because for the last 20 years, me and many others, we have been trying to model that desired leadership behavior to others that you instill to us, and it will hopefully live on for generations and generations and generations. That's the impact you've made not only to us professionally, but personally. So congratulations on a remarkable career. God bless you and all the best in your next chapter. Love you. Thank you.
So you know we're a country that's struggling in many different ways. And one of those is that we have a desperate need for heroes. And heroes are hard to come by in the United States of America today. I'm speaking as Mike Heidingsfield. We certainly don't find them in Hollywood. We don't find them in the sporting world. I'll tell you where we find heroes in America today. We find them in the police service. We find them in the armed forces of America. And often, within groups like this, are unsung heroes. So today's not just about me. I could take 3 minutes and talk about dozens of people in this room and the heroic things they have done on behalf of their communities and the people they are sworn to protect. But I know you don't have that much time, nor does the Chancellor. But I want to recognize 2 people in this room who may, quite frankly, because of the extraordinary level of humility in their character, would prefer not to be recognized. But America requires this. James Lehman. James, would you raise your hand just so that people can see you? James Lehman. James Lehman restored my soul and my heart after an incident in which my partner and I were disarmed by an aggravated robbery suspect who then threatened to kill us with our own weapons. We survived that encounter, but I was shattered internally because in the police world, when you're disarmed, it is beyond disheartening. And James Lehman put me back together again, spiritually and emotionally. And what more could I expect from a highly decorated Vietnam combat veteran and Green Beret who will never speak about his service to the nation? So my job is to recognize him today. James, God bless you, and God bless America. Mark Funderburg. Where are you, Mark? Mark Funderburg was my field training officer at Arlington PD. He shaped everything I have learned about law enforcement. I would not be standing here today were it not for the tutelage, the coaching, the mentoring, and the learning that Mark Funderburg shared with me. He is the single most instrumental person in my life as an American law enforcement officer. Mark, I love you, and I am deeply grateful to you. Thank you. So, how did I get here? It's 1971. I'm a sophomore at Florida State University. I'm enrolled in the Air Force ROTC program. Scholarship recipient because I needed money to go to school. My father had died the week I graduated from high school. But I wanted to be a police officer at some point in time. Hello, Ray. It's good to see you, my friend. So one day I'm reading the Tallahassee Democrat, which is a newspaper, by the way, for some of you who are not old enough, you may not recognize it. There were actually newspapers printed on paper. And we did read them from time to time. And in the classified ads, probably another term unfamiliar to a large number, there was an advertisement for a job. This is what it said. Policeman wanted. City of Bluntstown, Florida. Must be 21 years of age. Contact Chief Gene Strickland. That's it. So I answered that ad. I went to Bluntstown, Florida, which is about 50 miles from the city of Tallahassee. Walked into a room, a police station the size of my current office. Met Chief Strickland. He asked me who I was and where I was from and what I had done, and that took all of about 12 seconds to recite. And he said, "What do you want to do?" I said, "I'd like to answer this ad and I'd like to be that police officer." He said, "You'll have to put yourself through the academy." I said, "I can do that." He said, "You'll have to buy yourself a shirt, has to be light blue in color, and dark blue pants." I said, "I can do that." He said, "Have you ever owned a firearm?" I said, "I have not." He said, "Well, I'll give you mine." And he reached into a 3-drawer file cabinet and pulled out a Colt Python 357 Magnum. True story. And the rig that goes with it. He said, "I have another one of these at home. You take this and come back to me when you're done." So I took the gun. I did 180 hours of training. 180 hours of training. I came back and I went to work. There were 4 of us at the police department. The chief dispatched during the daytime, and after 5 o'clock, the calls from the public, they went to the chief's house, and his wife dispatched us. And if we had a double back shift, I slept in his guest room. And that's how it all began. When I was done there, and I came to him and took his Colt 357 Magnum and returned it to him, I said, "I'm sorry, I can't continue. The drive between here and Tallahassee, ROTC, my studies, it's just too much." I said, "I'm sorry if I've disappointed you." And Chief Gene Strickland said to me, "No disappointment, Mike. Everybody needs somebody to give them a starting point, or we would never change the world." This from a small town chief in a small community in the rural panhandle of Florida. I never saw Gene Strickland again, but he played a foundational role in my life as a police officer. And that took me from Bluntstown to Tallahassee, to the United States Air Force, to Arlington, Texas, to Scottsdale, Arizona, to Baghdad, Iraq, Memphis, Tennessee, Washington, D.C., and back to Austin 40 years later to close the circle. So the question is, how much has changed since that circle was closed? The business of policing today is extraordinarily different from the world that I entered into 53 years ago. I think then it was clear we had a narrow and focused mission, but today we are asked to be all things to all people, and that is an extraordinarily difficult task. In fact, if I were to speak completely honestly and without incident, I would say it is an impossible task. We are expected to be social workers, behavioral scientists, psychologists, psychiatrists, doctors, members of the clergy, negotiators, tacticians, strategic thinkers, weapons experts. Nobody can ask that of a single person. It is impossible. And so today's world of policing is extraordinarily challenging. And my hat is off to every young woman and every young man who hold up their hand and say they'll take on this job. I think the key to the future is to come back to where we were and remember this one thing. With the success of American policing, which means ensuring that the rule of law is sustained in America, is based on constitutional policing by character-driven law enforcement officers. And it is as simple as that. And the noise we hear about what the role of the police should be or should not be should be pushed aside. And some of that noise comes from internally. And some of my colleagues would say, we can no longer be warriors, we must only be guardians. I reject that, because when that assault victim who is traumatized and cowering in a corner needs empathy, strength, and salvation, we are indeed destined to be guardians. But when there is gunfire in the schoolhouse, I need warriors going to that location. So today, an enormous challenge before us in policing that I leave to those of you who remain in the service. And that is, I do believe there is good and evil in the world. I do believe that the police stand between the two. And I think it is a noble calling. It is biblical in its origin. And it requires our complete and total dedication. I appreciate the opportunity to spend this afternoon with you. I'm so very grateful for all of you to join us. It's an extraordinary day. I am frightened to death about retirement. But we will make it through. So you know there is a tradition in American law enforcement that when an officer retires, he or she has a last call to dispatch. And it is normally recorded and then played through a public address system, if you will. I thought instead of doing that, hello, Wade. I thought I'd share that last call to dispatch with you personally. Arlington 311 Arlington PD. Scottsdale 100 to Scottsdale PD. Sharp 4 to Sharp Base, Baghdad. ODOT 135 to UT Austin PD. I'm 1098. My assignment is complete. I'm 10-7. I'm out of service. It has been an honor and a privilege to serve, and I thank you.
I've discovered, Bill, Mike, the secret to a standing ovation. Just make sure there aren't very many seats. And most of the people are doing that already. Those were some tremendous remarks. I hope we have those captured. Take your notes as well. Steve, I appreciate your remarks, but I wish you had not said that thing about leadership and people feeling like it's how you make them feel. I think my team is going to mutiny now. Thank you, everybody, for being here. I'm not surprised that I am incredibly moved by this day, because I'm incredibly moved by most of the events that I participate in with ODOT and with the UT System Police, because I see, like Mike said, policing is about the character of the people involved. Constitutional limits, the character of the people. And I think that's what we have benefited so richly from in the UT system throughout our police force, and certainly its leadership. And Mike, thank you for all of our colleagues and our loved ones and our friends for everything that you have done for the UT system and for our country. We wish you all the best.
Thank you, sir.
All right, everybody, that's the end of the formal program. And if anybody has stories they want to tell me about Mike, I'll be open for business. Stick around.